for Kitsap Regional Library. I am Susan Whitford. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Trustees representing the South End. And the other trustee member that's here is Eric Fong. Eric, if you want to raise your hand. So anyway, we do not have a quorum tonight, but there are no items that require a vote. So we're going to go through with everything else that's on the agenda and for information purposes. So I actually get to read the library mission statement, which is inspiring our community to dream more, learn more, do more, and be more. And with that, Jason, would you like to introduce anybody? Maybe Sharon. She's
Yes, I would. Welcome everyone to our June board meeting, and our special guest tonight is the amazing Sharon Grant, who's going to give us a couple presentations today. One about the North District Library accounts, and also the Paul's Bowl Book Locker project. So that's our guest for tonight, and welcome everyone.
Okay, great. And Sharon, we'll get to you in just a second. I don't know if there's any additions or changes to the agenda. I don't think so. Eric, I'm going to look at you because it would just be you and I that would be making any changes. So, okay. As far as public comment, I do have, I hope I brought it. Shoot. Hang on a second. I don't have it. I don't know if somebody else has the two public comments. Oh, wait, maybe I can bring them up here. Hang on just a second. Sorry, I printed it out and left it in the other room, but I think I have them.
I can read them if you want.
Okay, that would be great. Thanks, Jason.
Sure. I'm going to read. The board has received two public comments, the first of which was received Monday, June 27th, 4:56 p.m. and it reads as follows. Good afternoon. I'm submitting this public comment for the June 28th board meeting. Today, I'm writing merely to say thank you. I appreciate that the board has begun recording their meetings and making them available online to the public. I appreciate the time and effort that was taken to do this. And I thank you for this step toward better transparency and accessibility for the community that the library serves. Bess, Garrett Knobs, Bremerton. Public comment number 2 received also Monday, June 27th, 2022 at 4:59 p.m. And it reads as follows. Dear Board of Trustees, I want to follow up to say thank you for your commitment to recording and posting the board meetings to the KRL Board of Trustees site going forward. The format is effective and inclusive, and I greatly appreciate your consideration and thoughtful implementation for this meeting format change. Being able to watch the recorded meetings will make a big difference to the staff and public. Thank you again for your commitment to the public service and accessibility. And I appreciate your time and attention to this issue. With kind regards, Olivia Muzzy. Thank you for those public comments.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for reading those.
No problem.
And thank you to the public for writing those comments. I appreciate that. The next agenda item is the consent agenda, and we will table that until next month when we have a quorum. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so then the next is presentations, reports, and briefings. And Sharon, I think you're up with your two presentations. It's good to see you, by the way.
It's really good to see you too, Sue. So tonight I'm going to share some information, some updates on a couple projects that we have done this year. One is the North Kitsap School District account, and the other is the ARPA grant projects that included both online resources and a new book locker. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. And so the first project I'm going to talk about is student accounts. And so I know that most of you know that a few years ago, we started a special project with the Bremerton School District. And it was an idea that we borrowed from other libraries. to increase access for students by allowing them to access the library using their student ID number as their library account number. So it's a number they're already familiar with, and it's a way that students can get immediate access to all our resources. And so, as I said, this project is really about increasing access. Both these projects that I'm talking about tonight are all about access. And that's what really excites me about library work, is connecting kids and community to our resources and making it easier. Things are too hard these days. Let's hit the easy button. So the student number is the library account number. The process is also automatic, thanks to our wonderful IT department. We actually import the student account numbers into our system that automatically creates the accounts for the students. So they don't need to come in, it's automatic for them. And it provides full access. So they can get access to our ebooks, our online databases, and our books. And it's been interesting, you know, I really thought people were going to go for the online resources, but so far, books are pulling out the winner. So hopefully we'll get more online access, but really people are checking out more books these days. Just to kind of give you an idea of the process that we went through to do the student accounts. What's sort of interesting to me is both of the projects that I'm talking about tonight started back actually last summer. So it was a kind of a full year's worth of work to get to the end goal. So first, you know, the North Kitsap School District, Jeremy Sullivan, and on information technology and curriculum director at North Kitsap School District reached out to us because they were very excited about the program in Bremerton. And they said, hey, how can we get this project to happen here? And that's like the most wonderful way for a project to start, is for a community member to reach out to us and say, hey, we like what you did, we want you to do it here. So from there, we had several meetings to kind of outline what the process would look like, for what the counts would look like, how they would work, how they'd get the information out to their students, and the agreements that we need to put together for launching this project. So we came up through that process, we came up with an MOU that was passed both by our board and the board at the school district. And so after we did that, we developed a launch plan. We did data testing back and forth between our IT departments, making sure we had the process all down. And then once we had all that, we had to find a place in the school calendar where we fit well. So I think many of you with children know that, you know, there's sort of a window for everything that happens in the school year. So we had to find the right window, which ended up being the beginning of May. And North Kitsap was so wonderful to work with. They were just so excited, and they really dug in to get the word out. It was all over their social media. And our communications department created great digital slides and handouts. And I felt like there was a lot of excitement for this program at the school district. So we launched in May. And we were able to create 5,574 accounts. And that first month, we had about 500 checkouts, which is not too bad for catching them at the end of the school year. You know, and the North Kitsap School District, as many of you know, is not only Paulsbo, but Kingston, Little Boston, and a lot of areas in the northern area of our county. So it was really great to reach all of these different groups. So the next project I'm going to give an update on is the American Rescue Plan Grant, for short ARPA, which I'm trying really hard to not to call it ARP for the last year. And so I feel pretty successful just with that. But this was a federal grant that was administered by the Washington State Library. The main goals were pandemic support and digital inclusion during this time. And so they allocated grant funds to libraries throughout the state with these parameters. And so we were awarded about $73,000 to support these efforts. And the project needed to be completed by June 30th. So we were able to accomplish that. We divided these resources up between adding to our digital collections and the book locker. So I always want to bring that back. The book locker is really exciting and awesome, but we were also able to extend access to online resources through this grant as well. So we were able to get about 200 downloadable ebooks and audiobooks. We were able to add our first video streaming service, which is called Curiosity Stream. And Curiosity Stream is a service with thousands of streaming videos, documentaries, cultural programming, science, and very educational streaming service. So we were able to launch that this year, which is really exciting. And Fold 3, which enhances our genealogical collection online. It provides access to military records, which has been an interest of our community for some time. So we're able to extend some of our genealogical resources as well. And I just want to say, I think if we had a contest around the United States, I would say we have the most beautiful book locker in the country. The design was Ayanna Jones from our communications department, and she met with the Paulsbo staff to work out a design idea with them. And so, she gave them a couple designs, and this is the one that they chose, and I think it's just beautiful. So this was just installed. I would say it's actually sort of in the process of still being installed. There's little bits and pieces that are being optimized at the moment. So we just got it, and so we're doing testing and so forth. And the way that this book locker will work is that if you place an online hold in our catalog, there's going to be an option to choose the book locker as your pickup location. So you choose that, and then when it becomes available in the locker, you can walk up to the locker. You can either scan your library card or type it in and put your information in there, and the locker where your items are will automatically open. And then you pick them up, and they're automatically checked out to you. So this is still in we're still kind of working out how to make it work and make it work well for us. We're hoping kind of mid to late July for getting it soft launched. But like we've done some preliminary testing out so far, and it's looking really great. And I think it's going to be a great resource in increasing access for our county, especially for people who can't get in during normal operating hours or are not quite ready to visit us indoors yet. So it's a great opportunity to pilot this new piece of technology. And so we are lucky that a number of our community libraries around our area have already installed a book locker, so we're able to visit Snow Isle, which has one model that's already in place at Seattle Public in King County, and we were able to visit another Everett and check out their locker first too. So it was great to dig into what they've learned so far and to optimize our experience thus far. But there's a little bit more to come on the journey of the book locker. But it is exciting to see it arrive and for us to start the journey to using this new kind of tool. I'm really excited for it. It's going to be great to be able to provide extra pickup times and so forth with this new locker. So just like with any project, I just have a tremendous gratitude for all the people who make it possible. In the background, you can just see a few of those people, Liz and Robin from IT and Pam and Emma from Paulsbo Branch, lots of facilities, IT. I feel like it's been touched by almost every department in the library, the book locker, and the new digital resources. So I'm just deeply appreciative for all the work that everybody's put in to bring these to reality. And it's exciting to see kind of Kitsap continue to try new things, get out there and serve our public in new ways. So I want to say thank you. Even though these people may not be here, I just want to express my tremendous gratitude to everyone. Are there any questions?
Yes, I've got a question, Sharon.
Okay.
But two questions, actually. As far as the incorporating the school district's student IDs and into the library,
Mhm.
is there any time frame on the other school districts, or do we need to contact, or should I contact the other school, or at least South Kitsap and plant a bug in their ear to request the integration?
Yeah, so we've been talking to Kathleen, and Kathleen's been reaching out and talking to people now. South Kitsap would be a great next partner. Other districts around the county, especially that we haven't reached out to the south part of the county. That would be especially exciting. And it's such a huge school district.
Yeah. Okay, good. So nothing's set up yet, but yeah,
No, but it's definitely, we're working towards expansion.
Okay, perfect. And then a couple questions on the book locker. Is that book locker at the library, the Paulsville Library?
It is.
Okay. And so, which makes sense to have it right there, but I'm wondering down the road with other book lockers, is there a possibility of putting them in strategic locations that would say used to be serviced by the bookmobile or things like that, to have, I'm thinking like Al's store that Greg Olson owns now, that kind of thing, to provide resources and accessibility to people that live further out.
I think that's an incredibly exciting idea. There's a lot of pieces to that, but it's just a project. You have to get started. You got to get working on it, and you got to work through everything, right? So slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I can provide a little more context on that.
Sure.
And Shannon's right. We need to work any new technologies like this. And for this one in particular, having it right outside the library is good, because we can be able to, have better access to it and work out, with new technologies. You can always have the inevitable technology fails that often happen. And so it gives us a good supports having staff right there. And once we're able to work that out, there are plans to push book lockers to remote areas where people don't have, the physical access to be able to actually get to the library. So, think about places where, we have plenty of remote areas in the county, like, Seaback, Olala, for instance, where we can put a book locker next to a grocery store, for instance, places where, you have a lot of people who gather, and that's where it will make sense, just sort of kind of like Amazon lockers, where they're easily accessible to the community at large. So, once we're able to work out the kinks, we'll talk about expansion.
That sounds great. It gets exciting to see things like this happen, and then you think, oh, what about this and what about that? But
and then also being able to have the staff supports to be able to, to make the deliveries and the pickups, to be able to, make sure those are maintenance properly. We have to build all that into our infrastructure to be able to maintain those. So that's something we'll be looking at organizationally and figuring out how we can get the supports to do that.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions. Just my question was going to be actually your last question, which was, where else could we see book lockers? So, I just wanted to congratulate you, and I really appreciate the willingness to try new things and be innovative and come up with new ideas and see them through. I just think that's a wonderful quality to see this library take part in. So thank you for trying new things and innovating.
Yeah. I want to echo what Eric just said too. It is impressive, and I know there's 10 million questions when you start a project, and you just have to kind of step through everything and get the questions answered and whatever. And you're exactly right, Sharon. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Anyway, thanks.
And really kudos to Sharon. She is a master kind of project manager. She really is able to do lots of things well. And so she is our Swiss Army knife. She can do just about anything, but project management, she has down to a T. She could probably do it with her eyes closed. So kudos to Sharon. Thank you, Sharon.
I had a very good teacher.
Thanks, Sharon. You're awesome. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions about Sharon's presentations? Okay. So next on the agenda are board reports and briefings. So Eric, what have you been up to?
Sure, I'm happy to share what I've been up to because some of it crosses over into what you have been up to. I got to go to the Manchester branch twice in the last 2 weeks. I went to volunteer at the Salmon Bake. I was able to dole out the coleslaw. They put Jason on beans. Sorry, Jason, I don't want to steal your thunder from the announcement, but I was on coleslaw and had a great time. It was wonderful to see the passion of the patrons at Manchester. Also interesting to see the age divide between people who were and were not interested in coleslaw. It just dropped like as soon as you went like under like 14 years old, it just dropped. Everybody under that age had zero interest in coleslaw.
Oh, that's hilarious.
um, and then I took my kids back to Manchester last Saturday for the grand reopening. And my daughter did the scavenger hunt. And candidly, I'm always nervous about being out at the same time with my two young kids because I have to look in two different directions. They often are interested in two different things at the same time. But the library, just by nature, it was just so easy. My daughter did the scavenger hunt that day. And I just knew that because the staff was so helpful, I wasn't alone. I had a lot of help. It was just a wonderful place to be. Kids had a great time. Congratulations to Manchester for having two big events within 2 weekends. So very much enjoyed it. Also went to BPL, Bainbridge Public Library meeting last week or the week before. Got to see everybody in person, so that was great. And also really excited to have our foundation outing very soon. So lots that we've done in the last month and lots coming up.
Great. Well, I've been a little bit busy too this month. I attended the Leadership Kitsap graduation, and with Jose Castro was the KRL employee that was there. That was a great event. It was great to see a lot of people. It was fun to be in a big event like that and see people face to face, first of all, and to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen for a long time. It was great to get to meet Jose and listen to his, listen about his project. And it's just so, I don't know, hopeful and encouraging, I think, at the Leadership Kitsap to see all the things that the people do and to see the caliber of people that are going through that program. I remember when it first started way back when, it was when I was getting my master's degree, but it always sounded like so much fun to go through that program. I never went through it, but it was, anyway, it's been around for a long time, and it was great to get to go to that event. I also attended a meeting with library staff and with Rice Burgess Miller and the city of Port Orchard regarding the new event center and library, which is very exciting. And so there was a lot of brainstorming on some design changes and things with regards to the library, which was great. And I know that there's more meetings coming up, so I'm looking forward to those. I participated in the ribbon cutting at Manchester on Saturday, which was really fun, and got to give a little talk at the beginning, which was great. And then on Saturday, I attended the Friends of Manchester Library. They had a donor appreciation event for their top donors, and that was really fun too. And so I got to give a little talk there. So I've done my public speaking for the year, I think, between those two events. And thank you to Jeannie. I see she's not on today, but please extend my thanks to her, and I'll write her a note too. But she helped with the speeches, and I was eternally grateful because I think that's the hardest part, is putting together the speech. So let's see. And then, only the last thing was I also received my new library card at the Manchester Library, which commemorates the 75th anniversary of Manchester Library. So I'm excited to use that now. So it's been a busy month. Okay, strategic and long range planning committee report. Eric, I'm guessing that's you since Gina's not with us.
That is me. We had our meeting right before this board meeting, had some conversations around some training ideas, and also discussed the beginning of needing to form the strategic plan for the next few years. So still in the preliminaries of both discussions, but looking forward to seeing what comes out in the next few months.
Great. Okay. Next is the financial report. Dan, you want to take it away?
Yeah, hi, Sue. Thanks very much. I just want to add a story behind some of the numbers tonight, and that is the cash balance that we ended the month of May at with a little over $8 million, and that was a little higher than I had projected. When I do our projections, a lot of that projection, there's a couple factors that are affecting that. One is the capital projects, where I was trying to project how and when McKinstry would be invoicing us. And they're a little slow this year, and the project isn't moving as fast as they thought, and so the money isn't going in as fast. So that's part of the reason why that balance is so high. The other part of the reason is in salary and benefits is that we passed and ratified the CBA last month, and so this month in June, the number of the percentage expended in salaries and benefits will become much closer to the projections for the year-to-date elapsed when we get to the June report, because we will have paid out the retro pay for the COLA in 2021 and for the part of the year that elapsed in 2022 up until the ratification of the CBA. So that's just a little bit of number. It all makes sense to me, but I just wanted to explain that to everyone else, that I do look at all these numbers and try to tie it together and figure out why there's a variance, and there has to be an explanation for it. So anyway, any other questions? I'm open to any other questions on the report.
I don't have any questions, but I do appreciate the story. So thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
It makes sense.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Let's see. Jason, Library Director's Report.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. We got a few people out tonight. We've got some illnesses and some family matters. So we've got a few leadership members out, but they're all hardworking. They deserve a bit of a break. And greetings from our nation's capital. I've been here for now 6 days, and I think that's just a day too long. I'm ready to get back home. I miss my family. I miss all of you. And I'm saying home now as opposed to coming back to Washington. So it is home, and I miss home. So it's been a really great conference. I'll cover that next month and spare you the details, but it's been a really good conference. So just the highlights from our report this month. Community meetings is still a core value of mine, and meeting with people. So I'll meet with just about anybody. And so two of the highlights from those meetings, I'll meet with everyday people and people who are a part of, our community in terms of politicians and organizers and folks who work for community organizations. So two of those people had a gentleman by the name of Joe Carver, who works at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, who reached out and was interested in seeing how he could better get involved with KRL. And so decided to meet with him for coffee and learn quite a bit about our Navy's presence. And that was a really good meeting. In those meetings really helped me understand the dynamics and the fabric of our community so we can better serve them. And so also met with Mayor Greg Wheeler, who serves Bremerton, who's the mayor of Bremerton. And we had a really good discussion around downtown Bremerton rather, and about Sylvan Way. And so he really talked about his political path and how he's really supportive of the library. I've had a lot of staff movement this last month. As you know, the biggest one was our biggest void, I think, in terms of our organization was Craig Michaels, our human resources director. And not to minimize the importance of all the other changes, but Craig, as part of our leadership team, we're really starting to formulate strategy for HR and strategy for training and how he can work with leadership teams. So Craig is taking on another position that will really benefit his family. And so we're all for people leaving the organization in order to better themselves or to get promotions or even to make lateral moves. And we feel like anybody who works for us and who's trained with us and who's had the experience of working at KRL is a better professional and able to go out and do some good wherever else they work. So we wish him well. Also, in terms of other notable changes, we've had Rosie Bromberg, who is a library associate at Paulsbo, who was promoted to youth selector, and that was a huge promotion for her and well deserved. And so we're really happy about that promotion. And so And then a couple of other changes in terms of like where we go with HR. HR will be in the transition in terms of posting the HR director position soon, but we really feel a need to kind of circle the wagons, reorganize, and really look at the direction we want to go and how we want to repost that. So in the interim, we'll be having Lucretia work with HR. You know, Lucretia on the leadership team has worked in HR before and has some experience, and we'll be working closely with the training specialist once that position is hired. It's already hired, it's imminent. We just have to make the offer and get that person aboard. So we feel like Lucretia is well equipped to work with HR and them to report to her in the interim. And so she's up for that task, and we'll be providing supports to her to do that. And so the other thing that's happening now is, and Shannon will talk a little bit about this in her report, I think, is that library associates, as you know, we've been working with them to get them onboarded to be able to provide, to be designated site supports for our locations. So there's been a series of summits that Shannon has engaged in with the library associates to really talk about that role, talk about their duties. Many of them, there are duties that they're already doing, but just to really call out what they're doing well, where they need supports, to really, engage with them in conversations about how to, what are our best practices, how to engage them and support in a smart way, and so that we're prepared to do that and roll that out in the late summer, probably towards late summer, going towards fall. We'll be ready to have them officially in that capacity. The other sort of service spotlight, I won't belabor because you just had the amazing Sharon Grant talk about it, but I'm really excited about book lockers and our continuing need to be able to make sure that we can reach our community. And it's such an expansive county. We really want, this pilot project is really important to me. I want to see it do well. I know it'll do well, but equity and access are important in our community. And I want to make sure that we have a good reach into Kitsap. And so we're already, I've talked about our mobile services unit, which is great, but being able to have book lockers, I think, will be a game changer. So once we start to work out this pilot project, I think the prospects look good that we can put book lockers in different locations. So I've already had conversations with, in particular, Charlotte Garrido, who's she's a commissioner for the South End, and she talked about a need for wanting a book locker in Olalla and talked about being able to provide supports to make that happen. So we're going to set out on a tour probably as soon as I get back, and we're going to go out for some coffee and talk about the prospects of that happening. And then the training spotlight for this month, I really want to talk about how nimble this organization has been to be able to provide, training needs. And kudos to HR, kudos to Lucretia for really being able to kind of swiftly turn on a dime. In the wake of the events in Uvalde last month, which is really tragic, and I think was felt, by everybody in our organization, we really felt like we needed to have a response, not only a response that we support staff, but really being able to meet what I think is a training need. And certainly this organization has had that type of training before in terms of active shooter training, but we're able to provide a menu of trainings in which people can get a better education about active shooter awareness. And we want to really be able to delve more into this topic and be able to provide more supports in the inevitability that something like that could happen. The first step really is to acknowledge that, it's a bad event, and that the second is to acknowledge that we need to be more prepared for emergency situations in general. So it doesn't stop with active shooter trainings. There are lots of other trainings that we need to refresh ourselves on. Kitsap has done a good job of providing emergency preparedness before, and we have manuals. And we will continue to take a look at our training needs, and with the eventual placement of our training specialists, we'll really delve into that training plan. And then Eric and Sue, you covered the celebrations pretty well, but yes, salmon bake was fun. I was on beans, and apparently I didn't know I was the butt of all the jokes. So I got hazed a little bit because apparently they throw the new guy on beans, but I found it to be a really good way to meet the community. I was the first in line. So the way I looked at it is I was the first to serve you. So I got to, throw beans on a plate and got to have the first interaction with the community in Manchester. And so it was a really good opportunity to meet people, to be a part of the community in a way that is the way I like to do it, to be of service. And so we're a service organization. We're about helping the community. So I found it to be just such a perfect event. So I really want to thank the Friends of Manchester Library for all of their work in putting the event together. As you stated, it's the 75th anniversary for Manchester, and the salmon bake, I think, has been going on for the better part of 45 to 50 years, I think. And so it's really a steep tradition that a lot of people look forward to, and the line just wrapped itself around the building, and it seemed to never stop. It was like a never ending line, but the 2 hours was well worth it. We got a chance to tour the Manchester branch of the soft opening, and it was good to see patrons really engaged and using the space. And then lastly, I want to thank the leadership team. I'll give more of a 6-month report in July because I will be at that point at Kitsap for 6 months, but I really want to give a shout out to the leadership team. They're a really hardworking and professional group who, no better group that I could find to work with. I'm glad it chose Kitsap, and I'm glad Kitsap chose me because this team is really dynamic. They make coming to work really easy, and I'm excited about where Kitsap is going. I think, so you mentioned it, and Eric, you mentioned it, to have us really go out and try things and to really, kind of keep pace, not only keep pace, but this organization is really about making sure it's not keeping up with any other library. Certainly libraries, what we do well is that we all work together. When there are new technologies and new services out and new programs, libraries are really good at collaborating. One of my experiences and why I like to go to conferences is that there's plenty of opportunity to talk to colleagues and see what they're doing across the country. And, what I found here is that same spirit of community and the same spirit of, these people here are go-getters. And, everyone on our leadership team is really earnest about what they do. They're hardworking and they care about their teams. And so we really want to lift them up today. And I know I've done it in our leadership team meetings, and they know that. But, I think it's important to do in the board meeting as well. I don't think I've had an opportunity to sing their praises, but every one of them are just excellent at what they do, and they really care. So I think for the larger, and I know you all know that, but speaking to the larger community and all of those who will watch this board meeting, to know that the leadership team here really cares about the community and works hard, and in fact works too hard sometimes. So I'm glad we've had a few people that have been able to kind of take the night off because they've needed it. Leadership, is required to be here, but at the same time, we always have to have good work home life balance. So I preach that to leadership team, and I also preach it to our frontline staff, but it has to start with leadership, because if we aren't doing it, we can't preach it and we can't live it with frontline staff. So I really want to lift up leadership team and thank them for making the transition from Chicago to Kitsap an easy one. And also to the admin team, from Autumn to Tammy to formerly Tara. They've made this a really, easy transition to make, and have really taught me about how this library operates. And, I'm still getting comfortable and still fitting into Jill's shoes a bit. And, I think you'll see results the more time I'm here, and I'm really happy to be a part of the Kitsap family. So thank you. That's my report for tonight. Any questions, comments?
Great. Thank you so much, Jason. I don't have any questions, but I applaud the leadership team also. So Eric, do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did leave one thing out. And so the last thing I already want to mention is part of my commitment to accessibility to staff, because really one of my tenets is to be transparent, to be accessible. And so I'm going to be implementing open office hours on the third Friday of each month. And so the idea behind that is that I want staff to be, I want to be accessible to any staff to be able to just come into the office, either physically or virtually, to be able to talk about anything they want to talk about. And so in these meetings, the idea is not that they're coming to complain about anybody, and certainly they can, but the idea is just to have some face time with the director. And every organization I've been, directors have been virtually, they've really been inaccessible to everyday employees. So I think, I do want to work from locations, and I'm starting to do that on a monthly basis, starting to pick a location to work at, but also being able to have coffee with somebody, be able to have, share treats with somebody in my office, or virtually if they don't feel comfortable with an in-person gathering, to be able to just come in and talk. And so I will be implementing those starting in July. That's it.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you,
Um,
Jason. No questions on my side, but I do acknowledge you did a great job on beans, and I'm going to talk to Ray next year about maybe moving you up to salmon.
Thank you.
If you're ready.
Oh, great. Okay. So now it would be leadership team reports. And there's only 3 reports that were attached, and I guess anyway, I'm not sure. So I'll go through the list here, and if you have a report you want to talk, that would be great. So Shannon, you're up first.
Okay, hi everyone, nice to see you. I want to just briefly shine the spotlight back on Sharon Grant, although she's not going to appreciate this. Sharon is so humble, and everyone, it was really, really no small feat to get a site selected, get the site prepared, talk through the site with staff. There were multiple locations at Paulsbo that we were kind of weighing, and Mike and his team did a great job of having that conversation with staff and deciding what would work best from an operations standpoint. We dealt with supply chain issues like everyone else in this world. So it took a little longer on the vendor side to get this installed and in place. So the fact that we were able to actually complete it prior to deadline, 2 days prior, is amazing. And it really speaks to Sharon's relentless forward progress on all things. She was really amazing at keeping this going, for sure. So thank you so much, Sharon. We really all appreciate it. As Jason mentioned, we've spent a lot of FaceTime with associates over the last month, which has been incredible. I visit the branches regularly, but being able to bring all of our associates together in, I guess, 5 places, because we had 5 kind of big group meetings, was so great. I've never brought that team specifically together for a system-wide kind of conversation and discussion. So it was just a pleasure to see everyone in one place, to bring different branches together. And the feedback that we heard was so appreciated. They had some really concrete ideas on what would be helpful, what they would hope to see, how they felt about the timeline and all of those things. So it was really, really productive. We got some great action items out of it. And now we're in the process of kind of rolling through training plan at each of our locations to make sure each branch is as prepared as possible for this transition. So it's been really good. I think that is it for me, unless there's any questions.
I don't have any. Eric, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Shannon. I don't see Quan with us tonight, so I'm guessing he's not going to do a report.
No, he's not. His report will go as Stan. It will stand.
Okay. And Mike, you're up next.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great evening, and welcoming back some of the cooler temperatures after a nice heat wave this weekend. My report included a few things this month, but I think we've celebrated Manchester, and we've definitely celebrated the Paulsbo Book Locker opening. So I don't need to spend any more time there, although we were happy to be a part of both of those projects. Just touching briefly on the McKinstry Capital project going on here at Sylvan Way. Progress is moving forward. If you've been by Sylvan Way lately, you may have noticed that the roof picture is changing a little bit. All of the old roof from Sylvan has been completely removed. All of the waterproofing tar paper across the entire roof has been reinstalled. And some of the final roofing product has actually been in place. If you follow what I mean when I say a pod, because the building is made up of several octagonally shaped pods. We have about 3 of those pods are finished with the roofing material, and a couple of these small mechanical boxes that are sitting on top. So progress is definitely being made there, and it's starting to show. So we're happy about that. In just a couple weeks, not this coming week, but the week after, we will actually start the first full skylight replacement with a skylight coming off and a new skylight going in. So that's exciting. And then they'll progress to the other 6 skylights following the first one. So that is going well. It is, as Dan mentioned, it's going perhaps a little bit slower than we thought it might, but supply chain issues and just weather-related issues, since we've had more rain farther into the summer than I think we anticipated. So that has delayed us a little bit, but they are essentially still on track for completion at the end of July. So we are pushing them, and overtime where necessary, they will work to get us to that completion date across the finish line. And unless there's any questions, that's my report for this evening.
Sharon, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I know it's not protocol, but I just, you know what Shannon said, I just want to like lift Mike up, to use Jason's word. During the Paulsville Book Locker project, the way he walked the staff through all the different possible site locations at Paulsville was so thoughtful, pros and cons. I think it just was so amazing to have that level of support from Mike, and the information was so good, and the team, it really, I think, brought the team together around the final selection. So I'm tremendously grateful. So thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that more communication is better than none, obviously. And so I've tried to carry that through on the Sylvan project too. I'm sending out pretty routine, regular emails to all the staff at Sylvan Way to keep them posted on what's happening with the project, so they know and can anticipate as they come into their work schedule what may be happening from day to day or week to week. So
Mike, I had also written down a note to say thank you to you too. I know that facilities is very often included in almost every project that goes on in the library, and doesn't maybe always get the recognition, but if it wasn't for the facilities department, nothing, I mean, most of these projects wouldn't be able to happen. And so I know there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And so I'm very grateful for all the work that you do also.
again, you're welcome. And I do prefer to fly under the radar in most cases, but yeah, we're usually there somewhere touching most of the projects that go on. So
I do have a question for you though. With regards to the skylights at Sylvan Way, are there, and you may have answered this maybe in months past when you were talking about the whole project, are there any closures that are going to have to happen with the skylights being replaced, particularly in the public area?
we do not anticipate that.
Oh, okay, great.
We will be, we actually removed one of the skylights. Oh God, was it this week or was it last week? I'm losing track already. Today's Tuesday. It was last week. They've pulled out as a sort of a test, just to make sure that the skylights they had that they were planning to fabricate would fit. So they built up a frame and they pulled off the skylight just to make sure that they could demo it correctly, safely, securely, without causing any damage or loss or anything down on the inside. And that was all successfsome. So they're moving ahead on the production of all of the skylights so they can proceed. But what we did there was in this case, it was the pod, if you will, that's closest to Sylvan Way under the nonfiction area, or over the nonfiction area. And we were able to just move a chair and one, a couple chairs and a table and just put visqueen down in the area under the skylight. Now that's not as easy in some of the other locations, but we will be putting up caution tape, and we'll have a contract staff will be inside under that area monitoring the secured area anytime the work's going on to open up a skylight. So certain areas of the building may be closed for the period, but ideally all of that work is happening before we open the building to the public. So we're doing between 5 and 6 a.m. start times, with an anticipation of, not more than 3 hours, hopefully, on any given day, work on any given skylight. So we're trying to avoid having people working over an open skylight while we're open to the public.
Oh, that's great.
If all that makes sense. But things change, and again, we are flexible, and we may have some overlap, but we'll do everything we can to ensure staff and patron safety, and as well as the guys working on the roof. So
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, just to chime in, it's been a really well-run project for a project this big with this many moving parts, handling the roof stuff, which is pretty complex, and the way the building is shaped, as Mike said, and then having the switchgear replacement. All of it has been pretty smooth. I mean, you always have hiccups along the way, and they've been really minor, but to not have any large scale closures for this has been amazing. I'm just really in awe at how it's all been done, and the communication really circling back to that. It's been critical because Mike's had to be out, and he's had family events he's had to leave for, and we've just pretty much gone on without a hitch, really. So it's a really well managed project. So kudos to the entire team. So looking forward to it being over though. So it's been great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Sylvan's a well-used library, so I think the quicker we can get it done, it's a bustling place in the afternoons and the evenings now, so.
Good. All right. Any other questions?
No questions, just another congratulations, Mike.
Yeah.
Difficult backbreaking work.
Okay.
Thank you for the update.
And then I don't have any other reports listed. Is that correct, Jason?
You do not.
Okay.
If they had them, they were folded into my report. Lucretia, you have a report?
I don't have a report. I just wanted to share one thing very, very quickly.
Okay.
Okay. So Jason shared an email to staff that staff day is going to be on October 20th this year. It's going to be semi-hybrid. Of course, the board is invited to participate, but I wanted to very quickly share who the staff day committee is. And this is a staff day committee. I wanted to put forward their faces and their names so that we know who to acknowledge as part of the conversations and the hard work going into planning that day. And that's all for me.
Okay. Thanks, Lucretia. Unfortunately, I will be on my way home from Ireland that day, so I won't be able to attend. But anyway.
We'll expect a login from your airline. They have Wi-Fi now, so if you can just patch yourself.
Oh, there you
in,
go. Okay.
Great.
Well, yeah, maybe that'll keep me awake on the plane for however many hours.
I don't think you can do video with that, so you're
Okay.
excused.
Okay, and I don't see any correspondence and no old business and no new business. And so the only thing left are housekeeping items. Let's see. So the next board meeting is July 26th. It says Little Boston branch. Are we going to meet in person or continue Zoom?
We'll continue Zoom at this time.
Okay, that's great. And then there also is a finance committee meeting and that day. And then let's see, I think that's it that I have. I don't know, Autumn, did I miss anything?
No, you're right. We're at closure.
Okay, well, I would just like to say thank you to everybody and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.